So going back to the region, what can the government do? As it stands, the government said they have a ceasefire, which is for the period of 2 weeks.
Yes.
And since they did that, the Avengers are still bombing oil facilities and installations at the moment. Does this mean that we're not likely to come to a round table with these people who are...
Let's appreciate something. Even if we come to a round table, arguendo, as we say in law, another group will arise. This is the problem. We just finished MEND and a number of groups, settled them, gave them so much money in order to maybe increase equity in terms of, distribution of the wealth of Niger Delta. So now, the Avengers arose. Even MEND is condemning the Avengers. Maybe later, another group will arise. So Boko Haram, so on and so forth. So the issue is not that. You can't have a temporary problem. For example, naturally, the armed forces will defend the wealth of the nation. But there is a difference between defending the nation and resolving the nation. The armed forces can defend, and maybe temporarily, but resolving the problem, the organic problem of this nation, takes more than just the armed forces. It takes serious mind. Look at America. They had a confederal constitution. They now realize that it gave them an imperfect society. They've been running the Confederacy, so they came together, I think 1789 or something like that, and they said that, look, we must face the reality that what we have now is not going to give us a more perfect union. And they took a complete turn in order to create a federal system based on certain principles, first principles. In this nation, we keep managing, pretending as if things are okay. Things are not okay in Nigeria, and they will not be okay in Nigeria until this nation goes to the fundamental. And that fundamental is, what are the terms?
The terms, I think you're getting closer and closer, because there also must be some form of peace for them to come to understanding what terms they would want to look at for them to bring about the development and peace in the region. So that is why when they talk about the ceasefire, a whole lot had thought that, hey, wait a minute, this is an avenue for them to dialogue. But you say the fear is that just another group or groups will emanate from the region if the critical issues are not looked into.
From another region.
Or even from another region other than Niger Delta.
Yes.
So in order for us not to get into that kind of circle, an unending cycle.
Thank you.
What can the government do at the moment?
What I propose, first and foremost, the government must appreciate the principle that I have just established, that Nigeria does not have a constitution of the peoples of Nigeria. We have never had it. Before the military, it was like a writ of summons. The British summoned us to Lancaster and then gave us a constitution. The military came and imposed a constitution, a dictatorship constitution. So first of all, you must appreciate, how does it achieve it? It's very simple. We now have a National Assembly. That National Assembly should come up with a law to enable the people to give to themselves a constitution through the peoples. One of the ideas is, like I have said, let each region come together to have its own conference, ethnic conference, because this nation is placed on it. And then I agree, what are their issues we want to push forward? And this ethnic group will now come together, the various, in order to agree. Meanwhile, you manage the nation with what you have now as a temporary interim ideal. Without that, I just don't see how we
this coming together you're proposing, what then happens to the National Assembly if the ethnic people are coming together to see what they can drive and bring to the table?
That's a very good question.
So what then happens to the representative of the people in the Assembly?
The representative is there by way of law, not a constitution. Even look at Britain. Britain has a parliament, but it does not have a constitution. Why are the laws legitimate? The laws are legitimate because they are exercising delegated power of the people. They are legitimized by the votes of the people, but only for the purposes of making law, not for the purposes of making a constitution. And as I told you, a legislature is a consequence of a constitution made by the people. In this nation, no constitution has been made by the people. The legislature is constituted. For example, let me tell you a simple and interesting thing. All the apparatus of government were already in existence before our constitution came into power. The constitution came into power on May 29 at midnight. Before that, the president is already elected, the National Assembly is already constituted, all the houses of assembly, everything was already in existence. So it wasn't even the constitution that brought them about. It was by a decree brought about by the military. So the constitution has not, promoted the government or established the government of Federal Republic of Nigeria. And the reason it hasn't done that is because we have not had a constitution.
But based on the analogy you give now,
yes,
does it mean that we can't exist as a nation without the constitution? Can't we exist with the laws we have?
We are existing with the laws, but in order to form a perfect union, if you look at Britain, Britain has no written constitution,
yes,
but it has a written another, essentially under the monarchical order and the parliament. They have agreed to that. America understands that because of the diversity of its people. If you look at Britain, they're largely unified people. America has a lot of diversity. They came from different areas, different regions. And so they knew that, look, in order to form a society, we need a constitution. They brought about a constitution. In our case, we need a constitution because we are different people located in different areas, different cultures, different tendencies.
So there's also some form of similarities in terms of diversity, which you just highlighted from the U.S. Example.
Yes.
One of the papers, one of the headlines said something about the Avengers wanting their resources.
Yes.
That's what they want. They want enough, want their resources back. Do you think the different groups in Nigeria, especially in that region, would want to even stay together? If we now say, let the region sit down and have this conversation.
I believe they want to stay together, but on terms that is acceptable and equitable. This is the point, the principal issue. On terms that is acceptable and equitable. There's no way people who perceive injustice will not fight against it. Wale Soyinka said, justice is the first condition of humanity. Justice. Injustice promotes violence. And when you have a situation where the nation's injustice is built on violence, the people believe that the only way to get justice is also to be violent. Once you have a situation where the people together and they can dialogue in order to achieve justice, the ideals of justice, you are moving forward. The problem of this nation is that the leaders of this nation keep pretending that everything is okay. This constitution is okay. You keep amending unamendable and unamendable constitution. A constitution that told a lie about itself. We, the people, gave it. We didn't. We know we did it. But that same constitution that lied is a constitution we continue to push forward. The military gave it to us by decree. A few corrupt leaders, a pitiless oligarchy, gave it to us. They diminished our citizenship. They gave it to us. And we said, we the people. But we know it isn't true. So until the people come together and that constitution has achieved injustice, it continues. This is it. Each ethnic group in this nation, if we talk to them, they will tell you that we are not happy. We don't want this. Even today, you resolve the problem of the Avengers. A new group, either from that area or from another area, will arise. Until the people themselves, in their various, the peoples, meet together. The Avengers relate their group within a group, within that region. The Yorubas have OPC within that region. The something have, then the different people have their own conferences, agree on the issues. What are the issues we want to handle? And then put it on the table, in a national table, what we might call a universal banquet, political banquet.
Off the top of your head, before we go, the issues for a particular region, which is our focus today,
yes.
The Niger Delta region, what do you think the issues are? If we were to look at them, what are those issues you think we can quickly look at for
the issue region? Is principally perception of injustice. That has started since the time of Boro. Don't forget that Boro was killed. Many years ago, it was the Niger Delta people have been fighting on this issue. That, look, the wealth of this nation is all from our land. But what is the benefit? You take this wealth, you take it to develop Abuja and all those areas, and you leave the place in desolation. Some people, a few people, condoned the entire wealth, where the vast majority of the people live in poverty. In this nation, less than 5% of this nation control the wealth of Nigeria. Less than 5%. They have so much bloated tummy. When people live in abject poverty, wretchedness, cruelty, uncaring poverty. So the issue is a question of injustice. And if we read this story of Niger Delta from all the past, you will see that this is the issue that has preoccupied them. And will also preoccupy other ethnic groups. So the only solution is to come together in a political banquet, which must first of all there must be a pre-conferences of the various groups. Like I said, the nation is placed on 3 twisted pivots: religion, region, and ethnicity.
Tunji Abayomi, public affairs analyst and a lawyer, many thanks for speaking with us on this, and we do hope that the government is listening to points raised by you.